أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to another one of your G1 classes, everyone. I hope and pray that today everyone is doing well, and jazakumullah to everyone for arriving to the class today on time. As always, we are going to start off our class with an opening prayer, and then later on I'll talk to you guys about what we're going to be doing in today's lesson. Okay, so I'm going to request our co-host to call a student to the mic. Assalamu alaikum, co-host.
Wa alaikum salam. Could we have G1379, please?
Perfect. G1379. Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
Good.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, now, if you would like to start off with Awud and Tasmiyah, and would you like to recite the prayer on your own? Do you want me to help you?
On my own.
Okay, perfect. Do you want to start off with Awud and Tasmiyah, please?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
Well done, mashallah, very nicely recited. Just remember here, the ayn, the sound needs to come from the middle of your throat. Ilma. Do you want to say that for me?
علما.
Perfect, well done. And do you want to read out the English as well?
Yes.
There we go.
I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected.
Perfect.
In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. O my Lord, increase me in knowledge.
Perfect, that's great. And that was Surah Taha, verse 115. Perfect, you've done a great job at reciting the opening prayer for me. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic, and we hope to call you to the mic soon.
Jazakallah Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz, take care. Okay, so let's just quickly take a look at the class etiquette before we move on. Now, make sure you've done your wudu and that you are wearing clean clothes, and also make sure that your head is covered, okay? Now, please make sure you're sitting in a quiet place. Often when we call students to the mic, what happens is that where we find it hard for us to hear students properly, as there is a lot of background noise. So sitting in a quiet place will eliminate all that background distraction. So please make sure you've done that for me. And also have your parents by your side just as supervision, yeah? Just so that they can supervise you. And very important, this one here, make sure you've signed in with the correct IDs, because only correct IDs are called to the mic. So use this time right now to quickly go into the participant list, find yourself, and if you happen to find out that you've signed in with the incorrect ID, please do use the rename facility to rename yourself, so that you're able to be called to the mic. So make sure you've signed in with the correct IDs, because I'm afraid if you've signed in with an incorrect one, then we can't call you to the mic. Okay. Now, let's take a look at what we are covering today. So in yesterday's lesson, everyone, I think, went through the rule of idgham kamil. And today, we are going to be covering the second part, which is idgham naqis. So you're going to notice that assimilation, the rule of idgham, has got two topics that you guys in particular are going to be focusing on. The first one you guys focused on yesterday, which was idgham kamil. And today, the one we're going to be focusing on is idgham naqis. Okay. So let's just quickly take a look at what we are covering. Okay, so here is the rule. I'm going to give you all a quick recap as to what was covered yesterday, and then we will proceed on to the rule that we are learning today. Okay, so you all went through this PDF. You guys were told that idgham basically means to merge or to assimilate. Now, often when you're reading the Quran, what happens is that you could, in this example, for example, let's look at the first one here. When you're reading the Quran, there's going to be places where you're going to see a noon sakin. But sometimes when you're joining letters together, you don't give the sound of the noon at all, even though it's there. There's going to be times when you're not going to give that nasal sound, regardless of whether the noon or the noon sakin or tanween is there or not. And this is where the rule of idgham kicks in, because the rule of idgham tells us when we can give the sound of the noon, when we can slightly hint the nasal sound, or when we totally eliminate the sound of the noon and give no sound of noon whatsoever, no nasal sound whatsoever, regardless of whether there is a noon sakin there or not. Okay, so that's basically just a quick overview of what this rule is all about. Now with idgham kamil, which was the rule that you all went through yesterday, we talk about how the rule, this nasal sound is totally eliminated. So we do not give the sound of the noon. And that is determined by the letter that comes after the noon sakin. So if you look at the letter after the noon sakin in this first example, you see it's a lam mushaddad. It's a lam which has got a tashdid on top. Remember, I'm sure you guys are aware of this already, but if there is any letter which has got a tashdid on top, we call it a mushaddad letter. So if it's like a lam, then it's got a tashdid on top, we will say lam mushaddad. That just saves us from saying it's a lam with a tashdid, because that's just longer. To make it very easier for us, we just end up saying lam mushaddad. Okay, so that's what we've got here. Now, in the instance of idgham kamil, if the letter after the noon sakin is a lam mushaddad or it's a ra mushaddad, then we will totally eliminate the sound of the noon. We will act like the noon's not there. Okay, so if I read out the first example, it's going to make a bit more sense. So if you listen carefully, milladunka. Now here you can clearly hear that milla, I'm totally eliminating the sound of the noon. You can't hear me give the sound of the noon at all. And this box at the bottom shows us milladunka. In this one, they're showing that there is no noon. This is initially how you're going to sound when you're reading it. Okay, so that's what the green box here shows us. It's literally the same thing as the one on top, but it doesn't have the noon. And why doesn't it have the noon? That's because it's an example of idgham kamil, where we eliminate the sound of the noon. And we eliminate the sound of the noon because there is a lam mushaddad or there is a ra mushaddad that comes after a noon sakin. So I'm going to say it one more time for you guys. If there is a noon sakin and the letter afterwards is a lam mushaddad or a ra mushaddad, that's an example of idgham kamil, and that means that we should be eliminating the sound of the noon. Okay, so this is an example with lam, and the example with the ra here, if I read it out for you, min rabbihim, min rabbihim. Here you can clearly hear that I'm not giving the noon sound. Even though the noon sakin is there, I'm not giving the sound, I'm totally eliminating it. Why? Because it's an example of idgham kamil. There is a ra mushaddad that's come afterwards, and so now we have to ignore the sound of the noon. We give no nasal sound. Okay, so that's the rule that you all went through yesterday. Now in today's lesson, we're going to talk about idgham naqis. So yesterday you all went through examples where you totally eliminate the sound of the noon. But in today's lesson, we're going to go for examples where the sound of the noon is partially there. You can still slightly hear the noon sound. In other words, we will still give a 2-second nasal sound. Now, obviously, the letters that occur after a noon sakin can't be lam mushaddad or ra mushaddad, because if that's the case, that will be idgham kamil. So the other letters that we're going to think of here are ya mushaddad, mim mushaddad, and vaw mushaddad as well. Okay, now I'll tell you what I mean by that. When you look at this example here, there's a mim joining to a ya mushaddad, right? Even though there's a noon bit in between, it will join to the tashdid letter, the mushaddad letter. And we are going to give a slight 2-second nasal sound there. So if you listen closely, min yawmin, min yawmin. So you can clearly hear the sound of the noon, okay? In the examples above, we said that there is no noon sound, we totally eliminate the sound of the noon, but here there's a slight nasal sound. And why is that? That is because of the ya mushaddad. So if the letter after a noon sakin is a ya mushaddad, a vowel mushaddad, or a mim mushaddad, then that means that we give a 2-second nasal sound, or the sound of the noon slightly will be there. There's a hint of that sound there, okay? Now, we've seen an example with ya mushaddad. Let's look at if there is a vowel mushaddad that comes after a noon sakin or a tanveen. وَلِيًّا وَلَا وَلِيًّا وَلَا. Now, you would have noticed that there are 2 strokes of fatha. And this is an example of tanveen. When you see 2 strokes of fatha, or you see 2 strokes of dhamma, right? Or 2 strokes of kasra in this example here, you will eliminate one of the strokes to join it to the vowel mushaddad, the mim mushaddad, or the ya mushaddad, okay? So when you're saying wali yawm wala, you can clearly hear that I'm not giving the sound of 2 fathas, I'm giving the sound of 1 fatha, okay? And that can be seen in the red box underneath, how they're showing you that one of the stroke is eliminated. There are 2 strokes here, but instead when we are reading it and we're doing idgham naqis, we are just using 1 stroke of fatha. So we're saying wali yawm wala, and same thing here, wali yawm wala. So in the Quran, this is not how it's going to be written out. It will stay like that. But in your mind, in the back of your head, you should know that, you know what, there's a tanveen there, there's 2 strokes, I should be getting rid of 1, okay? So we've seen an example how we give a nasal sound if there is a ya mushaddad afterwards. We've seen an example of how we need to give a nasal sound if there is a vowel mushaddad afterwards. And in the case of tanveen, we should be getting rid of 1 of the strokes. Now let's take a look at an example when there is a mim mushaddad that comes afterwards, okay? So this is how we're going to say it. Akum ma'ahum. Akum ma'ahum. So we're giving a slight 2-second nasal sound here as well, okay? And just looking at the last example here, أَن يُشْرَكَ. So hopefully it's making a bit more sense as to how you could hear the nasal sound in these examples, but in the examples above, you couldn't hear any nasal sound at all. And those are the 2 different types of idgham that you are all expected to know, idgham naqis and idgham kamil. Now, a good way to remember which one's which is that if you look at the word idgham naqis, it starts with the letter N, naqis. And the word nasal also starts with the word N. So when you're thinking of idgham naqis, you should straight away think of nasal sound and that you're going to give a 2-second nasal sound. The hint of the noon will be there. So that's a good way to remember that idgham naqis, you will still give the sound of the noon, but you'll give a 2-second light nasal sound, yeah? Now, quick recap of what we just went through right now. We spoke about how there's going to be times in the Quran where you will give the noon sound, where you will make the nasal sound, but there's going to be times when you will not. There's going to be times when you will totally eliminate the nasal sound, regardless of whether the tanveen or the noon sakin is there. And the big question is, how do we know if we make a nasal sound or if we don't make a nasal sound? And the simple answer to that is that we've got idgham kamil, where we don't make a nasal sound, and we've got idgham naqis, where we do make a nasal sound, okay? In the case of idgham kamil, where we're totally not making a nasal sound, we are looking at 2 specific letters, lam and ra. Lam mushaddad and ra mushaddad. Feel free to write that down if you like, because it's easier to remember. But if there is a noon sakin or a tanveen, and the letter after that is a lam mushaddad or a ra mushaddad, then we totally eliminate the sound of the noon. And we eliminate the sound of the noon and we give no nasal sound, okay? That is the case with idgham kamil. In case of idgham naqis, remember naqis, we're giving a nasal sound, okay? So try and make that link in your head as well so that it's easier for you to remember. The second type is idgham naqis, where we do give a nasal sound, where we don't eliminate the sound of the noon. Instead, we do give a light nasal sound. So the letters that help us understand that is ya mushaddad, vaw mushaddad, and mim mushaddad. If these three letters come after a noon sakin or tanween, then we give a slight nasal sound. Okay? So that is the rule. And it may seem like there's a lot being told to you guys already, but trust me, when you're reading the Quran, these are things you don't even notice, but you're doing them correctly. So inshallah, I will call a few students to the mic that can go through these examples here. And then inshallah, we will practice the rule. We'll read a surah today as well, just to practice as many rules as possible. So co-host, if I could please have another student to come to the mic.
It's G1519.
Perfect. G1519. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good too, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. So, are you understanding the rule so far, or is it a bit confusing at the moment?
I understand.
Oh, you're understanding it? Oh,
Yeah.
that's a relief. That's really good, alhamdulillah. So, do you want to start off with the awud and tasmiyah? And you can start reciting from the first word here for me, yeah?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مؤمنة ودية.
Okay, well done, mashallah, good try. Now, if you'd like to repeat after me, let's go through it word by word, yeah? Mu'mina,
مؤمنة
tinwa, diyatun.
دية.
Now, did you notice when I'm saying tinwa, what am I doing here?
You're converting.
Yeah, so you're joining the third to the va, you're merging the sound of the third in the wa. Now, when I'm saying tinwa, can you hear a slight noon sound?
No.
Okay, so you should be able to hear a slight noon sound there, okay? Tinwa.
No.
Yeah. Perfect. So when you're saying it, I can beautifully hear the sound of the noon there. You're not saying tinwa. That's not what you're doing. You're saying tinwa. You're merging the letters, but you're making sure that there is a slight nasal sound being made there. Yeah?
No.
Now that's an example of idgham kamil or idgham naqis.
Tinwa.
Perfect. So would that be idgham kamil or would that be idgham naqis?
Naqis.
Perfect. Well done. So with idgham naqis, we give a nasal sound. And are we giving a nasal sound here?
Yes.
Perfect. So that's an example of idgham naqis. Yeah? Well done. Do you want to read out the next example for me?
Okay. Atiru.
Well done, mashallah. I can see you're trying very hard to read out the words and you're doing a great job so far. Well done. Now let's take a look at it again. If you repeat after me, ta'i,
Ta'i.
riyatiru.
Riyatiru.
Well done. Now if you listen to me, when I'm saying riya, can you hear a slight nasal sound there?
No.
Okay, I can hear it there. Okay, just try saying it for me. Riya.
Riya.
Perfect. Can you hear yourself give a nasal sound there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we're talking about a nasal sound, we're saying any sort of sound that comes across as if it's coming from the nose. Ring, yeah. So everyone at home as well, try saying it together. Ring, yeah. You should
Riya.
Perfect. You should feel like some of that sound is coming from your nose, and that's what we mean by a nasal sound. Now, would this be an example of idgham kamil or idgham naqis?
Idgham naqis.
Perfect. So remember, naqis starts with the letter N. Nasal sound also starts with the letter N. So naqis, nasal, that's a great way to remember what rule applies here. Okay, well done, mashallah. I can see you're understanding the rules so far. What I will ask you to do is, in your free time, think about what letters is it when they come after a tanween or a noon sakin, they cause there to be a nasal sound. So what letters is it? So I'll give you the answer. It's ya mushaddad, vaw mushaddad, and mim mushaddad. When these three letters come after a noon sakin, or a tanween, we give a slight 2-second nasal sound, yeah?
Okay.
So just try and go through this PDF as well alone in your free time. That will help you quite a lot. But Jazakumullah for coming to the mic.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah khair. Take care. Allah Hafiz. Okay. Co-host, may I please have another student to the mic?
Yeah, could we have G1 532?
Perfect. Is that G1532? Assalamu alaikum. G1532. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today?
Good.
Alhamdulillah, that's good to know. Now, do you want to start off with the Awud and Bismillah? And I'm going to ask you to start reciting from here for me, please.
Okay. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
So you're going to start reciting from here.
Okay. Wa a.
Do you want to repeat after me?
Yes, please.
Perfect. There we go. Here we go. Do you want to repeat after me? Wala
Wala
amatum
alatum
amatum
tumu
minatun.
minatun.
So I'm just going to say it one more time for you. You don't have to repeat after me, but this is how it's going to sound. Wala amatum mu'minatun. Now, when I'm saying tummu, try saying that for me.
Tumu.
Perfect. Now here, we're giving a slight 2-second nasal sound. Yeah? So
Yes.
we're giving a slight nasal sound. Is that an example of idgham naqis, or would that be an example of idgham kamil?
No, coming.
Okay, so with idgham kamil, we don't give a nasal sound. Okay? And that's because the letter afterwards should be lam with a tashdid or a ra with a tashdid. Is this a lam mushaddad or ra mushaddad?
Lam mushaddad.
Okay, sorry, I think I worded it wrong for you. So this is not a lam mushaddad or a ra mushaddad at all. It's a mim mushaddad. That means that we will slightly give that nasal sound, okay? So before I confuse you a bit more, let's look at this example here. If you repeat after me, milladunka.
Milladuka.
Well done. When you're saying milla, can you hear any sound of the noon in between?
No.
No. So what are we doing? We're totally eliminating the sound of the noon, right?
We are blending the noon.
Yeah, we are blending the sound, but we're not including the noon at all there. Yeah. So that's the rule of idgham kamil. That sound of the noon will not be made. Okay. We're totally getting rid of that noon there, and that's because it's a lam mushaddad. We will do the same thing if it was a ra mushaddad. So if you repeat after me, mir rabbihim.
Mir rabbihim.
Perfect. Can you hear that noon sound there?
No.
No, and that's because it's a ra mushaddad. The ra mushaddad and the lam mushaddad give no nasal sound. Yeah?
Yeah.
And therefore, if there is no nasal sound, we're saying it's idgham kamil. Okay?
Okay.
But when there is a nasal sound, here there is, then we say it's idgham nakis. Yeah?
Okay.
So here, this would be an example of idgham nakis. Now let's take a look at the next example. If you'd like to repeat after me.
Yes.
أن يوقع
Yiku.
أن
Yukikua.
Okay, let's try that again. أن يوقع Perfect. Now, when I'm saying أن can you hear slightly a nasal sound being made there?
Yes.
Perfect. Try saying it yourself. أن Perfect. Now I can 100% hear that nasal sound. Can you?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, like in those examples that we went through above, milla, mirra, we're not giving any nasal sound, even though there is a noon there. But in this example, we are using that noon there and we're slightly giving that nasal sound. And that's because the letter afterwards is not a lam mushaddad or a ra mushaddad. Those are not the letters afterwards, are they?
No.
What's the letter after the noon sakin here?
Mushaddad.
Yeah, a ya mushaddad, yeah? So that's a totally different letter. And that tells us that, you know what, you should be giving a slight nasal sound. So that allows us to give a nasal sound. Yeah? So let's try that again. Ayu.
Kia.
Perfect. Well done, mashallah. G1532, you did a great job at reciting these examples today. These are hard examples to recite, so don't worry if you're making any mistakes, but keep practicing as much as you can to get a grip of that rule a bit better. Yeah?
Okay.
Perfect. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic today. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.
Good afternoon.
Allah Hafiz. Okay, so I know it's 100% a bit of that rule where it just requires a bit more practice. But as long as you know when you should be hiding the sound of the noon and when you should be totally eliminating the sound, that's very important. As long as you know that, that's great. And also make sure that you know that with idgham kamil, you're eliminating the sound. You're not giving any nasal sound, even though there is a noon sakin or tanween there, you're still not going to give a nasal sound. With idgham nakis, we're saying that you are giving a nasal sound, and you're making use of that noon that's there, okay? And a good way is just to know what letters come after the noon sakin, which allow us to make a nasal sound. So if it's a ya mushaddad, if it's a ya mushaddad, if it's a vaw mushaddad, or if it's a mim mushaddad, okay, then you should be giving a nasal sound. If these are the letters, these three letters come after a noon sakin, we should be giving a slight nasal sound, a 2-second nasal sound. And they should have a tashdid on top, 100%. If they don't have a tashdid, that rule doesn't apply. It has to be a mushaddad letter. So min yawmin, this one is a ya mushaddad, it's got a tashdid on top, and it comes after a noon sakin. That means that because it's a ya mushaddad, we're gonna give a slight nasal sound. Same thing here. Wala. We are getting rid of that stroke. We're getting rid of one stroke of fatha. As you can see, there's 2 strokes here, but we're getting rid of one. So if you look at the example below, wala, here they're showing 1 stroke. So that just tells us that when there is a when there is a tanween, you should try and get rid of 1 stroke. But that's something that you're doing in your head. You don't normally see that when you're reading the Quran. You just know that you're joining the ya with the Vaw mushaddad here. Okay. So now the surah that we're going to be practicing today is Surah An-Nas, and it was a surah that was revealed in Mecca. Okay. It's in part 30 of the Holy Quran, in the last part, and it's chapter 114. Okay. So the Quran has got a total of 114 chapters, and this is the last chapter of the Holy Quran. It consists of a total of 7 verses and consists of just 1 ruku. Okay. And it may be the last surah in the Holy Quran, but actually it was the 21st surah to be revealed. So in the order of the revelation is that there were 20 surahs revealed, and then this one was revealed after the 20 surahs. So it's the 21st surah to be revealed. Okay. But it is at the end of the Holy Quran. So what we're going to do is we're going to call a few students to the mic to come and practice the surah with us. And I want to see how much you guys can apply your rules to the recitation. Okay. So when you're called to the mic, please make sure that you are taking your time and you're trying to understand what rules are present within that surah or within that particular verse. And I will stop you where necessary, but just make sure that you're paying attention towards all the rules that you guys have learned so far. So, co-host, if you could please call a student to the mic.
Yes, G1770.
Perfect. G1.
G1770.
I am here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Alhamdulillah, that's good to know. Now, do you want to start off with A'udhu and Tasmiyah? And you can start reciting from the beginning, but I'll stop you where necessary, okay?
Yeah, but I'm actually like only 5 years old. I won't really know how to do this, but I'll try.
Okay, do you wanna try reading out the first verse and let's see how it goes, yeah?
So is that the top one?
Yeah. Start off with A'udhu Billah and Bismillah.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Okay. And can you try reading out the first verse? Okay. Do you want to repeat after me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Here we go. قل أعوذ
قل أعوذ
برب الناس
برب
الناس. Okay. برب. Okay, let's take a look at it letter by letter. B. رب الناس. So you're joining the noon to the sin. Nas.
Oh.
Okay, let's say that one more time. Nas.
Nas.
Well done. Mali. Kinnas.
Innas.
Well done. Ila. Hinnas. Well done, well done. Mashallah, this is a bit hard for you to recite. As you said, you're only 5 years old, and I understand that. So,
Yes.
have you finished the qaida yet?
No.
Okay, so I will recommend that you finish the qaida first and try and see, practice that as much as you can and see how many rules you understand so far, yeah? Because you're still very young, so please take your time with it all, okay? But I'm very, very happy that you tried your best to recite this with me today. So you should be very proud of yourself today. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic. Take care. Allah Hafiz. Okay, co-host, may I please have another student to the mic?
Yes, G1850.
Perfect. G1850.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today?
Good.
Alhamdulillah, that's good to know. Now, do you want to start with the Ta'awud and Tasmiyah? And you can start reciting from the beginning again, yeah?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس
Well done. And the next class.
من شر الوسواس الخناس.
Well done. I'm going to pause you right here. MashaAllah, you've done a great job at reciting this surah today. Let's just look at a few things together before we go on any further. Here, this word here. Try saying that for me.
أعوذ.
Well done. Now this line, the sound should come from the middle of your throat, okay? Oh, try saying that.
Ooh.
Well done. So one more time.
أعوذ
Well done. برب الناس.
برب الناس.
Well done. And did you notice that I'm giving a round mouth when I'm saying the ra? Did you notice that?
رب الناس.
Well done. We're doing a round mouth there. Good. Now if you move on, ملك الناس.
ملك الناس.
Well done. Now you must have noticed that we're putting a lot of pressure on this letter. Do you know why?
Because I forgot.
Okay, so it's got this little W sign on top. Can you see it?
Yes.
So this W sign is actually a tashdid, or it's known as shadda. Okay? So this sign here. So whenever you see a shadda on top of letters, you should make sure that you put pressure on the letter. So you're going to say Malikin Nas.
ملك الناس.
Well done. Ilahin Nas.
إله الناس.
Well done. Do you know what this sign is called?
I forgot.
Okay, so it's a vertical fatha, yeah?
But
Do you
it's
know how long a letter which is got vertical fatha on top?
2 seconds.
Good. Well done. 2 seconds. Well done. And just the last word here. Min sharri.
من شر وسواس الخناس.
Well done. And give a round mouth here. Khannas.
خناس.
Well done. Well done. MashaAllah. Very, very nicely recited. Keep practicing as much as you can and make sure that you go over the rules that are taught to you so that you don't forget them. Yeah? Yes, student G1 Course.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Jazakumullah for coming to the mic.
Allah says, Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah khair. Okay. Co-host, may I please have another student to the mic?
Yes. G1 379.
Perfect.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. Are you able to recite this surah on your own, or do you want me to help you with it?
I can recite it on my own.
Perfect. Do you want to start off with Ta'awud and Tasmiyah? And I'm going to ask you to start reciting from here for me, yeah?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
Okay, well done. Good try, mashallah. I can see you've really tried your best to read this. So good, well done. Now let's just take a look quickly at a few things, okay? Do you know how long you should prolong a letter which has got a fatha, dhamma or kasra on it?
2 seconds.
Okay, so if it's a fatha, dhamma, kasra, you should only elongate for 1 second, yeah? So, for example, this scene, what does it have on top? Okay, so this scene has got a dhamma on top, yeah? What does it have on top?
Dhamma.
Perfect. So how long should you elongate it for?
1 second.
Perfect. So if you repeat after me, yuwaswisu.
Yuwaswisu.
Well done. A lot of the times people say yuwaswisu and they elongate the sound, they stretch the sound out of the scene, but you shouldn't do that. You should only give a 1 second duration there, okay? Now here, fi, how long am I elongating here for?
2 seconds.
Perfect. So you can clearly hear that I'm stretching the sound out. I'm saying fi and I'm stretching the sound out. Do you know why we do that?
No.
Okay, so we do that because whenever you see a ya sakin, a ya with a sukoon, and if the letter before has a kasra underneath, we should stretch the sound out. Okay, that's an elongation. That's one of your 3 vowels of Arabic: alif, vaw, and ya. Okay, so we're going to stretch the sound here. Fi.
See.
Well done. Now here, this noon mushaddad, if I'm saying mushaddad, it means that it's a letter which has got this little W sign, yeah? This
Yes.
mushaddad has got a sign on top. What sign does it have on top?
Fatha.
Good, well done. And how long should you prolong a fatha for?
1 second.
Good, absolutely. So when we're saying this, we're going to say minal jinnati.
Minal jinnati.
Well done. So 1 second timing there, okay? Try not to extend the timing over there, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. Mashallah, you did a great job at reciting this surah today, G1 379. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic. Keep practicing as much as you can, but make sure that you go through the different words that we learn, like fatha, dhamma, kasra, sukoon, elongation, these words, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic today. Take care of yourself.
Zakallah Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz. Okay, may I please have another student to the mic, co-host?
Yes, G1798.
Perfect. G1798. Assalamu alaikum. Student G1798. Assalamu alaikum.
Choose another student.
Yes, perfect. That'll be great.
G1362.
Perfect. G1362. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Good.
Alhamdulillah, that's good to know. Now, do you want to start off with the Awud and Tasmiyah and start reciting from the beginning for me?
I had an eye test and I can't really see properly.
Oh, you've had an eye test. Okay, that's fine. So you don't have any glasses that you're wearing at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay, no problem. But Jazakumullah for coming to the mic anyways. I'll call you one day when you do have glasses, okay? Perfect. May I please have another student to the mic?
Okay, could we have G1? Yes, sure. Can we have one G1363?
Yeah, G1363. Assalamu alaikum. G1363. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Are you able to see the screen?
G.
Okay, perfect. So that's great. That's great. So you can recite this today. I want to start off with Ta'awud and Tasmiyah, and you can start reciting from the beginning for me, yeah?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الناس من الجن
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm just gonna stop you there. Mashallah, nicely recited. I know that you know the surah off by heart, but let's just take a look at all the different rules that are present within the surah. Okay. Now, when you're saying qul a'udhu, try and give the correct sound for every letter. Okay, so repeat after me. Qul a'udhu.
قل أعوذ برب الناس.
Well done. Now you need to put a bit of pressure on the noon. Okay. Rabbin nas.
الناس قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس.
Okay. Now, what does the meme have on top? Student G1 363. What does the meme have on top? Okay, I think we lost the student there.
I think I think we should do them as a student.
فتح.
Could we have G1 8? Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, I think they were there. Let me just unmute them again. Sorry, pause. G1 363, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh,
فتح.
perfect. He's there. Great, perfect. So the meme has got fatha, yeah?
G.
So how long should you elongate it for?
1.
1 second. Well done. Malikin nas.
مالك الناس.
Well done. So try not to say malikin because then you're elongating the meme sound and that would be incorrect, yeah? So just 1 second timing there. Well done. Now let's look at the next one. Ilahin nas.
إله الناس.
Good, well done. Now what does the lam have on top?
فتح.
Okay. Good, well done. It's a fatha ishbaiya. So it's a fatha which is standing up straight vertically. Okay, so it's a vertical fatha. And how long should we prolong a vertical fatha for?
2 times.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 seconds or 2 counts. Good, well done. I can see you're understanding the rules pretty well. Now we're going to give a 2 second timing there. Really good. Now let's just look at this next verse here. So do you want to repeat after me? Min sharril. Now, if this ra has got this little W sign, this tashdid, what should we be doing? If it's got a shadda, what should we do? So we should put pressure on the letter, yeah? The pressure. Min sharril waswasil khannas. Well done. And did you notice we're giving a round mouth here, yeah? So let's try that again. Khannas. Well done. Mashallah, very nice recited G1 363. Keep practicing and try to take your time when you're reading the Quran. Try and read it slightly slow, just so that you can understand what rules are coming up and so that you know how to give the correct sound to each letter. Yeah? Okay? Perfect. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic today, G1 363. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz. Okay, so we're going to stop it here for today because I'm afraid we are running out of time. But just before I talk about the homework today, I just want to tell you guys that I know there is a Jalsa coming up and there were like a lot of entries that you guys, you guys submitted in your recording. So Jazakumullah for the entries that we've received. The judges will now start considering them and hopefully we will let you know when the selections have been made very, very soon. Okay, so we have got your entries, they are there. We are gonna listen to them and the judges will decide who to pick for each activity, yeah? So that's that. And in terms of the homework, what we went through today was the rule of assimilation. Now, this is a very hard rule to sort of get the grip on, but this is just something that really requires a lot of practice. So I will ask you guys to sit down today after taking a break and just see if you can understand the rule. And if you don't understand the rule, then go for it, okay? You're able to access the online version of the Talimul-Quran syllabus. So that's very important that you try and do that, okay? Make sure you go through exercise 20.3, which is Idgham Naqis. It's specifically for Idgham Naqis. But also make sure that you listen to the recitation of Surah An-Nas on this following link here, okay? You can find the recitation on Surah Al-Islam, and if you go in the Quran section, you'll be able to find the recitation of Surah An-Nas there. So make sure that you do that as part of homework. So, as always, we're going to conclude our class with a closing prayer. And for that, we are going to call a student to the mic. So, co-host, if I can please have a student to the mic for that.
It's G1846.
Perfect. G1846. Assalamu alaikum. G1846. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, no problem. Maybe please move on to another student.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good too, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. So do you want to start off with the Awud and Tasmiyah, and do you want to recite the prayer on your own, or do you want me to help you?
I want you to help you.
Okay, I can help you, absolutely, no problem. So if you start off with the Awud and Tasmiyah first for me.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Perfect. And if you'd like to repeat after me. Allahumma
Allahumma
hamni
hamni
bil-Qur'anil
Bil-Qur'an
azim
azim
waj'alhu li
waj'alhu li
imaman wa
imaman wa
nuran wa
nuran wa
hudan wa rahmah.
hudan wa rahmah.
Well done, mashallah, very nicely recited. And do you want to read out the English translation for me?
Allah have mercy on me through the Quran the Great, and make it for me the leader, the light, the guidance, and the mercy.
Perfect. Mashallah, very nicely recited G1846. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Perfect. So that was it for today, everyone. Just wanted to point something out quickly. Over here, when I'm saying Ramwa, this is an example of Idgham Naqis. Okay, just a quick refresher there. Ramwa, we're giving a nasal sound. So make sure as part of your homework that you go through this rule and make sure, why am I giving a nasal sound there? What are the conditions? And inshallah, that will help you understand the rule a bit more. But Jazakumullah to everyone for coming to the class today. Make sure to do the homework, and we hope to catch you in another class soon. Until then, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.